Welcome to today's all levels yoga class. I apologize. I can't be with you live for the next few weeks. There's a lot going on, and that seems like a good place to set the theme for this week's class. You know, we can't always control everything. And when we let go of the idea that we must control everything, suddenly there's a sense of freedom and a willingness to accept what's coming, because no matter what, you're going to end up where you need to be in the long run. So with that in mind, let's get started. Sit comfortably, sit tall. Hands on your thighs, palms up, palms down, doesn't matter which. You can go ahead and sit on a yoga block or a rolled up blanket. You want your hips higher than your knees. Take a breath. And if you feel like it, go ahead and close your eyes. If you don't want to close your eyes, that's okay too. Bring your gaze downward. Bring all your attention now to your breath. And rather than controlling your breath, let it flow. Just let your body's own deep intuition take over. You know how to take care of yourself. It's your head that gets in the way every once in a while. We often have these grand ideas of how things should be. Instead, let's just let them be and accept it for what it is. Take a moment here to scan your body. Feel all the feels. Notice the sensations. Nothing good, nothing bad. It's gratitude for a moving, healthy body. Your next breath in, sweep your arms up. Bring your hands together overhead and let your hands float down, palm pressing to palm. Another breath in, sweeping the arms up. Just feel your breath. And as you connect to your breath, just feel that little bit, that bigger piece of joy within you. Feel it grow as you connect to your breath and connect to your body. Feel open and free. Let's do one more. Just pause for a moment with your hands right in front of heart center. Feel mind, body, and breath all coming together on your yoga mat. It's amazing. Release your hands. If your eyes are closed, you can go ahead and open them. Let's sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, come far enough forward you can get your fingertips to the mat, just in front of your shins. Pause here, take time for another breath, and use the exhalation to sink into the elbows. Keep your eyes forward to maintain the length and space in the upper body. Just ease into it. Feel the change that's happening in your body. Nothing good, nothing bad. We're just going to let it be, whatever it is, and accept. And press up. Switching legs now. Place the other leg in front. A breath in. As you exhale, just coming far enough forward, fingertips connect to the floor. And with the exhalation, the next exhalation, don't rush it, wait for it to come, and then sink in. Just feeling a different kind of stretch into the lower back and the hips. Maybe even into the outer thighs. It's a very effective stretch. Keep the eyes forward to maintain the length and space in the upper body. Wait for your inhalation to press up. Let's come onto hands and knees into table pose. set up your foundation. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Uncurl your toes, let the tops of your feet rest on the mat. Let's take a moment here. Just let your shoulder blades slide in towards your spine. Really soften through the back of the shoulders. Feel broad across the collarbones in the front of the body. As you inhale, lift your eyes, look forward. Create a deep sway in the lower back as your tailbone tilts up. And as you exhale, round through the back. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Awareness here into the glutes and the buttocks. No squeezing through the buttocks or the lower back. Use your hands to push into the mat and spread the shoulder blades wide. A breath in, lift the eyes, look forward. Deep sway in the lower back. Slide your shoulder blades in towards your spine. Exhaling, opposite action. Chin tucks, shoulder blades spread wide, tailbone tucks. Rounding through the lower back. Deep stretch here. 2 more breaths. Move with your own breath. You can even take your eyes off your screen, off of YouTube, and just go with how your body is feeling. If there's anywhere here that you want to pause and just live in the moment a little bit longer, this is the moment to do it. When you pause and take notice, it's almost like the present moment can last forever. Bring yourself to a neutral table position. Eyes looking just in front of your fingertips or so, long flat back. Walk your knees wide, bring your big toes in together to touch. Now sink down towards your right hip, right heel, right elbow. Reach your left hand towards the top left corner of the mat and just feel a long stretch on the left side. Spread your fingers, anchor the palm of your left hand, and think about just giving your left hip a little tug back, just to increase the intensity a little bit. Remember, you're in control of this. On the yoga mat, you are in complete control. You only surrender control when you choose to. Breathe. Now slowly make your way back up. Back to table pose. Keep the knees wide. Start with your wrists underneath your shoulders once again. Now working back to the left side. Left hip pushes back towards the left heel. Sink down onto your left elbow, left forearm. Right hand reaches up towards the right corner of the mat. When you feel like you're getting the stretch, the beginnings of a stretch, spread your fingers, plant your hands, and sink a little deeper. Now give your right hip a little pull towards the back of the mat, just a little tug, just to deepen the stretch on the right side. Now I have a little bit of a shoulder injury on my right shoulder at the moment, and my right arm is shaking like crazy. But the more I try to control it, the more it's going to shake. So I just have to relax, soften the right shoulder, and breathe. Just let it be whatever it's going to be. Now press up, bring yourself back to center. Keep the knees wide still. A breath in, natural breath in, and wait for the exhale to push all the way back to your heels. Now reaching both hands towards the top of the mat. Spread your fingers, plant your hands, sink down onto your forearms and elbows. If you can, bring your forehead to the mat. If your forehead doesn't reach the mat, support it with a blanket, with a block, or stay resting on your elbows. Put more weight on your elbows so you can really sink back. The focus here is the stretch into the sides of the rib cage. Kind of feeling the stretch from your elbows to your hips. Don't rush your breath. In fact, this is the perfect spot to let it slow down and just be in the moment. Bring yourself to table. Just making your way to table, no rush. Wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Curl your toes under. Take a breath. Exhale, lift to downward dog here. Knees pull away from the mat, hips lift up towards the ceiling. Think about pushing the backs of your thighs to the wall behind you. Keep your arms strong. Really engage the four corners of each palm with the mat and the fingertips. Long arms, strong, broad shoulders. Now check in with the breath. You want to make sure you're not holding your breath here. Shift forward into plank. Just bring your shoulders, a high plank, shoulders over top of wrists here. Drop your knees down. There we go. Push back. Keep the toes curled under. Push back. Hips pushing back to heels. Feel the stretch, the intensity into the soles of the feet. Bring yourself back to table. Shoulders, remember, swing your shoulders a little farther forward now. Knees are behind the hips, because remember we were in a high plank pose. Now lifting in reverse. Push into the balls of the toes and lift to that high plank pose. So your hips are higher than your shoulders. With your exhalation, push back. Downward dog. Adjust the placement of your feet if it doesn't feel right. Remember, control the things you can and let everything else just be. Lift your heels, bend your knees, walk your feet towards your hands. Take as many steps as you need to get there. Bend your knees so your fingertips are touching the mat. You've got support under your hands. Now just lift your hips slightly until you feel a deepening stretch in the back of the legs. Keep some softness behind the knees so you don't overstretch the hamstrings or tweak into the hips and the hamstrings causing tendonitis. You don't want that. Nobody wants that. Yeah. Inhale, just lift your eyes, look forward. Use the full length of your arms to create some space for the breath in. Exhale, bending your knees, right foot steps back. Long lunge step to the very back of the mat. Wiggle your right foot as far back as you can. Drop the right knee down. So go ahead and place some extra padding under your right knee if you need to. And one at a time, you're going to bring your hands onto your left thigh and just push up. Push your shoulders over top of your hips. Feel the long stretch on the right side of the body, the front of the right hip. Now be careful not to pop the left hip up. Keep the left hip, both hips square. Now shoulders over top of the hips as best you can. Take a couple of breaths here. Focus your breath on the front of the right hip. Set the intention to stretch and release the right hip, and your breath will take care of it. Might not eliminate the intensity completely, but it will soften and will release a little bit. That's how stretching works. It takes time. It takes a few breaths. Now make the stretch a little bit bigger. Now bring your hands right up to the left hip joint, so right there at the crease of your pants. And push the shoulders back now, just a little bit. Bring your gaze a little higher up the wall now, just to continue the natural curve of the spine without creating too much compression through the vertebrae. Right? This is a natural movement for the spine, but we don't want to compress too much. Not a deep, deep bend. Now if you feel steady here, go ahead and just sweep your arms up with your breath. If you're not feeling steady, it takes a little, like one more little trick that's within your grasp to control here, create a little more stability. So you're going to push down onto your left heel and give your left heel a little pull towards the back. Creates a little more strength, requires more strength, but so much more stable now. And then you can let go and sweep up. Remember to keeping your eyes just slightly a little higher than horizon on the wall in front of you. Wrists over top of shoulders as best you can. Long arms opening up through the elbows and enough energy in the hands. Your fingers are separated. You can feel it open through the palms. Let's take a breath in and exhale. We can sweep all the way down to the floor. Now the tricky part, we're going to lift the right knee. Shift your weight back just slightly. Get ready to push with the right foot. Push and step forward. Now inhale, come halfway up, hands on your knees, bend your knees, let your hands, heels of your hands take the weight here. Use the full length of your arms. Take a breath and just look in front of you, in front of the mat. Now instead of collapsing through the shoulders, rounding through the upper back, pull the fronts of the shoulders back. Really draw your shoulders in towards the spine and away from your ears. Yeah, that feels good. Now keep the knees bent. We're going to do a single breath up, and then we're going right back down again. So here we go. Release the hands, take a breath in, sweep up. Exhale, dive down. Yeah, we're ready for it. We're diving. We're going for it. Fingertips to the mat. A breath in, just lift your eyes, look forward, creating room in the rib cage for the breath in. And as you exhale, left foot steps back. Long step back, wiggle your left foot as far back as you feel comfortable. And then drop the left knee down. Already beginning to feel the stretch into the back, into the front of the left hip. One at a time, your hands come onto your right thigh. If you need a little extra padding under your left knee, go for it. Grab a towel, fold over your mat, whatever you need to do. Modify, control the things you can. Now use your hands on your knee, on your thigh, to get your shoulders over top of your hips. And then check in with the right hip. You want the right hip level with the left. Let's take a couple of breaths here. Now slide your hands all the way into the hip joint. Roll the shoulders back a little bit farther. So now they're slightly behind your hip. And bringing your eyes just a little higher up the wall in front of you, a little higher than horizon. Nothing more than that. Now steady yourself. Right heel pushes down, pulls back. You can feel the legs working, solid, steady, or more solid than you were a moment ago. Release the hands and sweep up. Engage the arms. Engage the palms of the hands, the fingers. No strain, but just enough energy for strength. And just enough room that the breath can flow. A long stretch from your left knee to your left armpit. Now release, bringing your hands all the way down to the mat. This time, bring your right hand to the inside of your right foot. Wiggle your right foot out to the edge and swing it back. Now, walking your hands forward, coming into a half plank position. If you need to adjust any padding under your knees, go ahead and do that. Now, spin the eye of the elbow forward so that crease in your elbows is forward. And as you bend your arms, your elbows tuck in towards your rib cage. I'm going to walk the hands a little bit closer. You still want wrists underneath the shoulders. Good connection. Palms of the hands, 4 fingers. Now, toes curled under for stability here. Take a breath and just lift the eyes, look forward. Release through the lower back. Create some curve there. Coming into a modified upward dog, not downward dog, upward dog. Keep the arms strong, eye of the elbow spun forward. Breathe. You let your hips feel heavy. Notice if you're clenching your buttocks and just release it. You don't need the strength through the buttocks here. Your knees will hold you, your hands will hold you. Now drop your gaze down. Feel the hips begin to lift. As soon as the eyes come down, the hips lift. Use your knees to push into the mat. And push all the way back. Uncurl your toes. Sink into a child's pose. Rib cage over top of your thighs. Use your hands to support your forehead. Stacking your hands, fist on top of fist if need be. Reaching for your block if you have one handy. Take a couple of breaths right here. Bring yourself up. Table pose. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Toes curl under. Take a breath. And exhale, lift to downward dog. Yeah, feels good to be in downward dog here. So good. Take one more big breath here in downward dog. Walk your feet towards your hands. Inhale, come halfway up. As you exhale, put a little bend in the back of your knees. Now sweep up, all the way up. Hands coming together and release. Standing in mountain pose. Just take a breath right here. Feel the soles of your feet firmly connected to the earth. Feel the strength of your legs, the movement of your breath throughout your whole body. Just take a moment to take it all in. Relaxing the shoulders, softening through the jaw. Just let your skeletal structure take care of you here. It will hold you steady if it's properly aligned. Inhale, let's sweep the arms up. Exhale, release the arms. Bring your hands to your hips. Step the right foot back. Step back onto your right foot, longer than a walking step, but push all the way onto your right heel. Bend your left knee. Now turn your shoulders so your shoulders are square to the top of your yoga mat. If you feel like your right foot is not in the correct place, if it feels peculiar, go ahead and hop your right foot closer towards the right side of your mat and turn your toes out 45 degrees or so. That will help you open up through the front of the body. You won't feel like you're compressed or twisted in any way. Now pause and relax the shoulders. There we go. Awesome. Bring your gaze a little higher up the wall, a little higher than horizon, just to soften through the throat, soften through the jaw. Now release the hands and turn your thumbs out. Now reach out to the sides and then pull the elbows in towards your rib cage. So keep the thumbs pointed up, pull the elbows in towards the rib cage. Feel the palms turn up. And just try to squeeze your upper arms into your rib cage. Just squeeze it in. Really keep the arms pulling in. This takes quite a bit of strength here, especially to hold it. At the same time, connecting to your breath. So there are two things going on here. You can feel the shake of your arms and shoulders. Don't worry about that. It's fine. Your primary concern is your breath. Because without your breath, there is nothing. So these moments where you find yourself holding your breath, reconnect to it. You can control your breath. And notice how the intensity in the shoulders, the arms, the collarbones changes the longer we hold this and work at this. With your next breath in, we're just going to reach the arms straight out to the side. Oh, and as you exhale, release. Bringing hands to the hips. Step your right foot forward. Relax the arms. Just take a breath here. Feel the energy in the shoulders, the collarbones. Don't label it, just feel it. Know how quick you were? Did you notice that? You were very quick. You were ready to label it with an oh my God or holy crap. Just feel it. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, release the arms, bring your hands to your hips. Left foot steps back. Step all the way back onto your left heel. Right knee bends. So we've got this warrior stance. Now turning through the shoulders so your shoulders are square to the mat. If you feel like this feels a little peculiar, go ahead and hop your left foot over towards the left side of your mat, turning your toes out 45 degrees. You'll feel a lot more open through the upper body. And that is what we want. Control the things you can. All right, taking a moment here, just settle into the soles of the feet and steady yourself. Finding your breath. Bring your gaze a little higher up on the wall, a little higher than the horizon line, just so that you can soften naturally through the jaw and through the throat. Releasing tension, of course, at every opportunity. Whenever you notice it arises, you let it go. Adjust. Now, releasing the hands, sweep the arms out to the sides. Thumbs pointing up towards the ceiling. Now as you exhale, draw your elbows in towards your rib cage. Really squeeze them in. So not just resting them up against the sides of your ribs, squeezing in, actively working through the biceps, the triceps. Feeling the lateral muscles in the rib cage. Get a little bit of a workout as well. Very good for strengthening breathing and lung capacity. So breathe into the work here. Let your shoulders feel heavy. If there's room, even give your shoulder blades a little squeeze in towards the spine, creating more room, more stretch through the collarbones. Bring your focus to your breath. Feel the sensations. Connect to the messages in your body through the shoulders, the biceps, but your primary concern is your breath. Feel your breath in this moment. Inhale, reach the arms out. Exhale, release the arms, hands coming to your hips, step forward. Release the arms. Take a breath. Be in the moment. Accept it for what it is. Feel your body. Connect to the sensations, whatever they happen to be. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, dive down. Bend your knees. Plant your hands. Walk back to downward dog. Take a breath in downward dog. A deliberately full, deep breath. Now bring your shoulders over top of your wrists, returning to that high plank pose we did a little while ago. Wiggle your feet back. So you want your shoulders no lower than your hips here. Now drop your knees down. Now slowly spin the eye of the elbows forward and bring yourself all the way down to the mat. Belly, ribcage pull in. Stay strong through the back of the body. Slowly coming down, connecting to the mat. Uncurl your toes, let the tops of your feet rest on the mat, even pushing the tops of your feet in just slightly. Pushing them into the floor, into the mat that is, not in towards each other. Now roll your shoulders back. Slide your shoulder blades in towards your spine. Now with your hands just firmly planted under your shoulders, just lift your eyes, pull your chin slightly away from your chest so you can see beyond the top of your yoga mat. Still looking at the floor, but minimizing compression through the neck here. Now keep that. Push your knees into the mat. Feel the weight coming off of your hips. Now connect to the feeling of softness through the buttocks and lower back. So there's no clenching of the buttocks here. Keep that. Notice what that feels like, and then press the front of the hips down into the mat without tightening through the buttocks and the lower back. Now using your hands to push into the mat, shoulder blades still sliding in towards the spine. Just lift through the rib cage, lift through the collarbones, coming into a little baby cobra. Breathe. And then release. Bring your eyes down to the mat, soften your hands, soften your elbows and arms. Just relax for a moment. Let your whole body feel heavy on the floor. Whew. Tuck your elbows in. Pull your chin away from your chest so you're looking just beyond the top edge of your mat. Shoulders roll back, slide in towards your spine. They actually feel like they're sliding down towards your hips at the moment. Now, tops of the feet pressing into the floor. Push with the knees, feel the hips lift slightly, the buttocks, lower back, release. Now keep that and slowly push the hips down into the mat. All right, getting ready to lift a little higher this time. Hands firmly planted on the mat. So now we're going to push with the hands a little bit. Eyes are looking beyond the top edge of your mat. Inhale. Now use the exhalation to push with the hands. Let the hips feel heavy. Just lift a little higher than you did a moment ago. Just a millimeter higher. That's all. And then release. Relax the legs, the arms. Untuck your hands and just place hand on top of hand. Let your forehead rest on the back of your hands for 2 breaths. Feel your body, feel your breath. Quiet your mind. Don't let your mind take you away from what's happening with your body and your breath. That's judgment. All right. Place your hands back underneath your shoulders. Elbows tucked in towards your rib cage. Eyes looking straight down at the mat here. Now curl your toes under. Push into the mat with your knees. Feel your hips lift. Ooh. Now draw the belly and the rib cage in. Oh yeah, feel the strength there. That's a lot of strength. Now hands already pushing into the mat. Lift. Straight up. Take a breath. Now exhale, push with the balls of the big toes, lift the knees now, coming into a full plank. A breath. Exhale, push back to downward dog. Use your hands, push, lift the hips, push, push. Adjust the placement of your feet, coming into your full downward dog position. 3 breaths here in downward dog. Now lift your left foot, bring it to the center of the mat so it feels like your big toe is in line with your belly button. Right leg lifts. You're going to bend your right knee. Now scoop your tailbone under. Feel your belly button pulling towards your spine. Come really high on the ball of your left big toe. And you're going to step your right foot forward. Doesn't matter where it lands. Now, adjust the placement of your hands. Come high on your fingertips. Push back onto your left heel. So if your left foot is too far away, you need to hop it a little closer towards you, maybe even out towards the left side of your mat. High on your fingertips. Take a breath. And as you exhale, push with your right heel. Pull the right hip back and lengthen through the right leg as much as possible. Now, if you feel like you're compressed and this is not working for you, bring your hands onto your right shin. Right hand on your right shin, left hand towards the top of your left foot. Now adjust your gaze. Bring your gaze towards the top edge of your mat. Feel the upper body lengthen. Feel yourself, feel your body adjusting, compensating, accommodating the changes, the sway, the movements, the momentum in one direction or the other. It's just a natural thing that happens. We adjust. Things change and we adapt. The important thing is to be in the moment and to notice. We'll take one more breath here. And this deep stretch on the right side. Now if you've got your left hand on your leg, you're going to bring your left hand to the mat while you bend your right knee. Right hand to the mat, plant your hands. Wherever your hands connect with the mat is perfect. Step your right foot back. Returning to your downward dog position. 3 breaths here in downward dog. One more, deliberately deep, full breath. Now bring your right foot to the center of the mat. Feel like your right big toe is in line with your belly button. Lift your left leg. Bend your left knee. Now come high on the ball of your right big toe. Scoop your tailbone under. Pull your knee in. Belly button pulls in towards the spine. Shift your weight forward. Step your left foot forward. Fingertips connecting to the mat, and then push your body weight back, land on your right heel. So if you feel like your right foot's too far back, hop it closer. Turn your toes out 45 degrees, hopping your right foot towards the right side of your mat if you need to. Getting ready here. Make sure there's support underneath your hands. If the floor feels like it's too far away, bring your hands to your left hand to your shin, right hand to your right foot. Take a breath, and as you exhale, left foot, push with your left heel, lengthen through the left leg. Pull the left hip back to make room for the left knee to open. Keep a little bit of softness in the back of the left knee. Breathe. Adjust the placement of your hands if you need to, controlling what you can, modifying where you need to. And then lift your eyes, look towards the top of your mat. Really lengthen through the upper body. Breathe. Connect to your breath. Connect to the awareness of your breath to bring you into the present moment. Because it's in the present moment where we have eternal life. The present moment never begins, never ends. So long as you're truly in the present, you're just always there. One more breath. Bend your left knee. Bring your hands to the mat if they're not already. Walk your hands forward. You just step the right foot forward this time. Taking a deep forward fold. A breath in, lift your eyes, look beyond the top edge of the mat, and as you exhale, fold. One more breath. Bend your knees. As you inhale, bring your hands, heels of your hands to the tops of your knees, and sink your hips just slightly. Bringing your gaze straight ahead. We did the supported chair pose just a moment ago. Well, a few moments ago now. Open up through the fronts of the shoulders. Shoulder blades pulling in towards your spine. Bringing your gaze slightly forward of the mat. Feeling your weight here in your heels and in the heels of your hands. Breathe. Soles of the feet press into the floor as you inhale, sweep up. And as you exhale, release. A couple of breaths here in mountain pose. Inhale, sweeping the arms up. As you exhale, bend your knees, bow forward, plant your hands, step back to downward dog. For one last downward dog. Two more breaths. If you're ready to come into table pose sooner, feel free. Come to drop to table pose. And here we go, everyone now transitioning into table pose. Uncurl your toes, walk your knees wide, and take a child's pose. Whatever version of child's pose you want to do right now, go for it. We'll take 3 more breaths in child's pose. I challenge you for those 3 breaths to keep your mind with your body and your breath in the present moment. If you do happen to wander away from your body, your breath, from the space on your yoga mat, just be grateful that you noticed and bring yourself back to the present moment. Now slowly press yourself up and swing your legs around to the top of the mat. Bring your feet wide, really wide as you can. And sitting tall, make sure you're long through the upper body from your hips to your shoulders. There's no rounding through the lower back. You don't feel like you're going to fall backwards or slump backwards. If you do feel like that, put some support under your hips. It can be a roll-up blanket or a yoga block. I want you to feel tall. Now spread your toes so the backs of your heels are resting on the mat. Spreading your toes will help keep your feet in place so that your toes don't roll in or out. It also makes this forward fold more difficult. All right, so sitting tall. Use your hands beside your hips to push into the floor and just create some muscle memory here. Set in your mind what it feels like to be tall from your hips to your shoulders, extending out through the crown of your head. Now keep that. It's not easy. Sweep up with your breath in. And as you exhale, bow forward. Plant your hands so that your fingertips are just grazing the mat. Stay long through the arms here. Look in front of you, beyond your yoga mat, so you're tall. You keep the length and space in the upper body for your breath. Now waiting for your next exhale. As you exhale, bend your elbows, just slowly. Just feel how the sensations change in your body as you come into your forward fold. Notice the moment the spine begins to round and pause. That means your hips have reached their maximum range of motion. Well, maximum flexibility, because we're engaging through the muscles here. That's the difference between range of motion and flexibility. Range of motion is the distance, the movement you have when you're in your joints, when you are not engaging the muscles or the muscle fibers. So here we are, we're engaging the legs. We've got the toes spread wide, anchored on the back of the heels. Long through the upper body, we're trying to really zone in on the flexibility of the hips here, not the rounding through the spine or shoulders. Breathe. Now drop your eyes down. We're going to bring in more joints here, specifically the vertebrae. So as you drop your eyes down to look between your hands, already you can feel there's more room to come forward because now we're using more joints. We've released the muscles in the neck. So now you can hinge forward and round through the spine. You might even be able to come down onto your elbows. Now relax your head. Let your head feel heavy. Keep the weight on the back of your heels. Keep your toes spread wide so your toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. Relax your jaw. Notice if your jaw is clenched and just soften it. Let your head feel heavy here. We're not trying to get the chin all the way to the chest. Just let the head feel heavy. Still long through the spine-ish. Not too much compression happening here. Now lift your chin. Get a sense that your ears are coming back into line with your shoulders. Use your hands and arms to press up. Now bring your feet in a little bit closer, kind of the width of your mat. Roll onto the outside edges of your heels, relax your feet. So the knees need to soften here, so bending the knees a little bit, sitting tall once again, feeling some length in the upper body. Same stretch, but I want you to compare how this feels. So we're relaxing the legs now. There's no engaging through the hips. So we're not talking flexibility through the hips here. We're talking range of motion. Inhale, sweep the arms up. As you exhale, bow forward. Bringing your fingertips to the mat. Long arms, long upper body, extending out through the crown of the head. Take a breath. And with the exhalation, just begin to soften through the elbows and sink in. Keep your eyes forward. Just kind of let your belly and rib cage begin to nestle between your thighs. Adjust your hands because you will come deeper here. The sensation is much different into the hips. You're going to feel a different sensation in the outsides of the hips pushing into the mat. Use your exhalation to sink deeper. Now drop your eyes down. As you exhale, unclench the jaw and let your head feel heavy. Even closing your eyes will help you let go of how you think you're supposed to look or how deep you think you should be. You'll connect to the feeling, what it feels like to be in this peculiar forward fold. Lift your chin until you feel like your ears are in line with your shoulders once more, and then press the rest of the way up, all the way up. Toes to the top of the mat, knees bent, and roll all the way back. Tuck your shoulder blades underneath you, arms at your sides. Now walk your feet in towards you. Get a sense that your ankles are underneath your knees. Good connection between the soles of your feet and the floor. Bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Enough energy in the hands. Your fingers are pointed up towards the ceiling. You feel like you have robot arms. Remember that dance from I think it was the 70s. Oh my gosh, I'm dating myself. All right, now roll your shoulder blades underneath you. Really exaggerate the feeling of the curve in your spine from your tailbone to the base of your neck, right between the shoulder blades. Now push down equally with the backs of the arms. Again, feel the lift through the spine, through the rib cage. Feel the spine pulling away from the yoga mat, lifting off from the tailbone to the base of the neck. Now tilt your head back a tiny little bit and get a sense that your ears are pointing down towards the floor. Soften your jaw so there's no strain in your throat or neck. Keep your eyes on the ceiling. Never turn your head here in this pose. We're just going to do a little bridge pose. Pressing down with both arms, we feel that. Remind yourself, pushing down equally. Now pushing with the feet, feeling the hips get a little bit lighter. Bring your attention and focus to the lower back and the buttocks. Keep the knees pulling in towards each other. And as you exhale, push into the mat. Back, lower back, buttocks. There's no tension or tightness there. It's the feet and the back of the arms that are doing the lifting. Just slowly lift the hips as high as you feel you can. Now center in on your heart, the center of the sternum. Think of pulling your sternum towards your chin. And lift a little higher with the hips and the arms. Really push into the mat with your elbows. Lift. Keep the elbows pulling in. Go with how your body is feeling, not what your head thinks you should do or how you think you should look. One more breath. Try not to clench the teeth. And then slowly come down. Just with control, slowly coming down, one vertebrae at a time. Reach for your knees, bring them in towards your chest. Give them a good squeeze in. Gently rock yourself from side to side. And just kind of play with where you feel a massage on the lower back. Go with what feels good right here. And bring your feet to the floor. And stretch your legs out one at a time. Oh. Make whatever adjustments you need to feel comfortable here. Reach for a blanket if you'd like to cover yourself with a blanket. It can be chilly out this time of year. I want you to be comfortable. I don't want you to be distracted by outside sensations like the temperature or any sounds. Do the best you can to really eliminate all of that. Control what you can. And what you can't control, just let it be. And once you're settled in, just check in with your body. With each breath out, just sink a little more deeply into the support beneath you. Try not to control your breath, but connect to it. So fully aware of the exhalation, so as the breath lets go, your body lets go. Don't worry if your foot twitches or if your whole left arm suddenly lifts away from the mat and goes into spasm, or if your shoulders are shaking. Don't worry about that. Just notice that it's happened. It's just a sensation that just reminds you how good it is to be alive. Stay connected to your body and your breath. So it was Deepak Chopra who said that to have true eternal life, we must live in the present moment, because it has no beginning and no end. When we're in the present moment, we experience everything that life has to offer. All of the things we don't expect, and the rewards that come with that. Stay connected to your breath. Stay connected to your body and all of the sensations you experience, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, all those connections you have with family. And even though we're separated, apart, and we don't want to be, there is still that connection. And if you focus on the connection, you will feel it all the more. Control the things you can, and everything else will take care of itself. I invite you to stay in this final relaxation for as long as you want to. For now, I'm going to rise up. Wiggling fingers and toes, bringing movement to hands and feet. Bigger movements now into the arms and legs. I actually feel like I need a stretch today, so I'm just going to listen to my body and have at it. Bending my knees one at a time, placing feet on the floor. Gently rolling onto the right side, lingering here a little bit longer if you want to. Slowly press up, coming to a seated position, tall, hands together at the heart. Take a moment to be grateful. Just a moment longer to stay connected, mind, body, breath, and spirit. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be loved. May all beings be at peace. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.